Last video, we established something that I know messed with my head a bit when I first learned it, and it's the idea that an idol isn't just a golden statue. It is something that we look to provide for us things that only God can truly give. If you haven't watched that video, I would encourage you to go do it. I'll put a card up on the screen and the link in the description below. We ended that video by asking two important questions. One, what do you think about when you have nothing else to think about? And two, what in your life, if you lost it, would make it seem like life isn't worth living? Today, we're going to answer those questions. We're going to get specific. And some of these are going to be obvious. Some of these maybe not so. But I think at least one of them is going to make you uncomfortable because it's yours. Sound good? Let's get into it. Here's the lens that we're going to use to look at every entry, because idols aren't always bad things. They are good things that we have elevated to the wrong place. But they do all follow a very similar pattern. They promise you something that they cannot keep. We need to name these things and name the promises, why it can't deliver, and talk about the tells that help you see that this has become an idol in your life and not just something regular that you care about. There's 13 of them. Here we go. Number one is achievement and productivity. It promises you worth, significance, a feeling that you have earned your place in the world. But there is no amount of output that silences the voice that says not enough yet. The goalpost keeps moving. You've gotten your promotion. You've hit that number. You've finished the project. But within 48 hours, there is a new bar that you haven't cleared yet. Matthew 16:26 says, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul?" Jesus doesn't say that achievement is evil, but he does say that we cannot build our soul on it. A huge tell here is that rest, it feels like failure. You can't take a weekend off without worrying about your next goal. You can't enjoy the win you just had without starting to chase the next one. Number two is approval and reputation. It promises you belonging, a feeling that you are seen, that you are valued, and that you matter to people. But approval is rented, never owned, especially at the macro scale. And what this means is that if approval is your idol, you are one bad day, one unpopular opinion, one failure away from losing everything that your whole identity is built on. It shows up in how you edit yourself before you speak, and how you make decisions based on what people think rather than what you believe, and in relationships where you perform instead of truly connect. You become what you worship. If you orient your life around approval, anxiety is going to spike. You are going to become less yourself, not more. A couple of big tells here are you saying yes to things because you couldn't afford the social cost of saying no to something that you don't believe in, and you continually rehearse conversations based on how you think you will be perceived. Number three is comfort and safety. It promises you peace, a life without unnecessary pain. And I get it, that does sound nice. But comfort seeking is a life strategy that produces a smaller and smaller version of yourself. Every risk avoided, every hard conversation dodged, every growth opportunity passed. You end up not with peace, but with a very controlled, very managed, very small version of yourself. You stop growing. Life stagnates. You never experience the abundance, the depth, and the fullness of life that God has for you because you were just too afraid to move toward it. It's the parable of the talents. I mean, the servant who buried his money wasn't evil. He was just safe. But Jesus called it wicked. The tell here, when you need to make major decisions, you ask yourself, what is the path of least resistance? You feel the pull toward things, and then you just don't go. Number four is control. Control promises you stability, a guarantee that things won't fall apart. But control is an illusion. The more tightly you grip, the more anxious you become because reality keeps reminding you that you are not the one running this. And then you try to control things that are smaller and smaller, but reality just keeps knocking it down. And when things end up going off script, you aren't able to adapt, you unravel. The tells, anxiety is your baseline. You overplan, you overprepare, and even then you're not able to relax. Your first instinct, the unexpected, is not trust, it's panic or anger. Anxiety and anger are often the emotional cues of a control idol. Number five is money and financial security. In Matthew 6, Jesus says you cannot serve both God and money. Not that it's hard, but that it is impossible. Money promises you freedom, options, the ability to finally stop worrying. But the world continually shows that beyond a basic threshold, more money just produces more anxiety because now you have more to lose. Paul in Colossians 3:5 doesn't just call greed a sin, he calls it idolatry explicitly. It is a worship problem before it is a financial one. A couple of tells: generosity feels threatening. You have enough by every objective measure, but things still feel scarce. Money becomes more of a scoreboard, not a tool that you need to use to live your life. If any of these are landing so far, please hit that like button down below. It really helps out the channel. Your engagement makes all of this possible for me. Thank you. Number 6 is relationships and family. There is a big difference between loving your family and making the relationship something your entire identity depends on. That's not a weight that any person can carry. Nobody was designed to. When a relationship becomes your idol, you can't confront that person honestly because the relationship must not fail. And when that person inevitably disappoints you, they will because they're human, the idol shatters and it takes you with it. The tells: your emotional state is entirely hostage to one person. When they're good, you're good. When they're not, you are not. You've avoided hard conversations because you can't risk the relationship. You've lost yourself entirely by trying to keep this one person. Number 7 is romantic love and sex. Romantic love promises you fulfillment, the feeling of being fully known and fully wanted, and sex promises you this deep feeling of connection. Neither can deliver what they're promising when they're carrying the weight of an idol. You put this ideal state on a person before you get to know them, and then you begin to resent them when they become a real person to you, right? And you're using physical intimacy as a way to manage your emotional state without dealing with what's underneath. It ends up producing the opposite connection. The tells: you're in a cycle of idealization and disappointment in relationships, and sex is no longer enjoyable because there's no connection, because there's no vulnerability. The idol just can't provide those answers. Number 8 is any kind of substance. Substances promise you relief, an escape, a numbness from pain, anxiety, or any type of boredom. This is the most transparent idol on the list because it doesn't even pretend to fix anything. All it does is promise that it will make you not feel it for a little while. This is Romans 1, the exchange. You're trading the real thing for something you feel like you can control and consume. Substance itself becomes the functional god of relief, and it requires more and more worship for less and less return. The tell: you reach for it automatically when you're stressed, bored, or lonely. It's not enjoyment anymore, it's management. Number 9 is body image and your physical appearance. It promises you acceptance, the ability to control how you are perceived. But the standard is always moving. Culture's definition of an acceptable body shifts constantly, which means that the idol is made to perpetually keep you falling short. And even if you reach the goal, it's not over yet. The anxiety is still there because you have to maintain it. The idol itself just changes shape. Psalm 139: you are fearfully and wonderfully made, the same word that is used to describe God's miracles. You are a miracle by design, not a project to be fixed. The tells: your self-worth rises and falls with the scale or how you think you look in the mirror. You spent more mental energy on your physical appearance than anything else in your life. Number 10 is political ideology. It promises you meaning, a tribe, a sense that you're right and that you're on the right side of history. But political movements can't save. They don't provide ultimate justice, ultimate meaning, or ultimate belonging. And when they fail, and they will because they're run by people, the disillusionment is devastating for those that have put all of their hope in that one basket. The tells here are that your emotional well-being is tied to political outcomes, be it elections or if certain things get passed. You can't have a calm conversation with somebody who disagrees. Your political tribe is your primary identity. Number 11 is your work or your career. It promises you legacy, a purpose, a life that has really meant something. But a career cannot answer the question, why am I here? Because careers end, companies fold, industries change. The market doesn't care about your soul. And when your identity is entirely wrapped up in your job title, job loss doesn't just change your schedule, it destroys your sense of self. Some tells: you introduce yourself almost entirely by what you do. You can't rest without feeling guilt, and you have missed important moments in your life because work needed you more. Number 12 is nostalgia and past identity. It promises you stability or a return to when things made sense for you. But the past cannot be re-entered. Nostalgia is just selective memory. It edits out the pain and keeps all the warmth. Worshipping a version of yourself that is no longer here just keeps you from existing in your current time. You stop becoming, you stop moving. The tell: you constantly reference who you used to be, things that you did before. Growth may feel like betrayal and change may feel like loss, but God is inviting you to move forward with Him. Number 13 is gambling and risk. It promises you this rush, this possibility that everything could change in an instant. But the high is in the chase, not the outcome, which means that winning doesn't satisfy, it just resets your craving. Underneath of gambling and risk is the idea of magical rescue, the belief that one moment can fix everything, that there's a shortcut, and you don't actually have to do the slow, hard work of change. Patel, you're not doing it for fun anymore. You're doing it to feel something, to escape something, or because you genuinely believe that this time will be different. That's 13. Now I'm going to bring these questions from Tim Keller back, and I want you to pause the video and actually think about it. What do you think about when you have nothing else to think about? And what, if you lost it, would make it feel like life isn't worth living? I want you to sit with these and say it, because idols that are named lose power. Unnamed ones operate in the dark, but when you name it, it becomes something real that can be dealt with. Comment down below. Just name it. You don't have to explain it or justify it. Just name the thing that popped up for you. I would love to support you and keep that conversation going if you want. Now, how do we deal with these things? Because I don't just want to leave you with a diagnosis. A diagnosis without a path forward is just guilt with a bow on it. What I want you to hear is something else that I believe Tim Keller said. Idols are not destroyed by willpower. They are displaced by greater love. You cannot simply stop worshiping. The heart doesn't work that way. It will always be oriented towards something. And trying to white knuckle your way out of an idol is just going to produce a different idol. The answer isn't to stop worshiping. It is better worship. Keller again says that when you encounter something so much more real and satisfying than the substitute starts to look small. Just like we talked about last week with the man who bowed down to the wooden idol he made. He had never seen the real God. When you actually see God clearly, the idol doesn't just become wrong, it becomes obviously insufficient. A.W. Tozer said that the corrective to idolatry is a right vision of God. I mean, idolatry is often a theological problem before it's a behavioral one. Because if you're picturing God as small, distant, or transactional, you're going to fill that gap with something else. But if you can start to see God as close and loving and fulfilling, then you start to see that real worship. These idols that you have were formed through habits and repetition. I mean, you didn't wake up one day and decide to worship approval or comfort. That was formed in you over 1,000 different small practices. And you can be reformed in the same way by doing these better things: generosity, taking Sabbath, reading scripture, community. These aren't just religious obligations. They are counter practices that slowly retrain your heart to worship the real thing. Just like everything else, this is not a one-time fix. It is a daily reorientation. The goal here isn't perfection, it is direction. Are you turning toward the real thing, or are you turning toward the substitute? But here's what I want you to keep coming back to. God is not waiting for you to deal with these things before He delights in you. Zephaniah 3:17 that we've talked about before, that God is rejoicing over you. He is dancing, He is shouting, like at a wedding. And He is not waiting for you to deal with your idols before He continues doing that. He is doing it right now. So maybe the starting point isn't for you just to keep trying harder, it's to sit back and let that be true for a minute in your heart. So we started these two videos by asking what an idol is really, and I think we've come to the conclusion that it's not just a golden statue out there that you sit down and worship. It is anything in your life that you've handed the keys to. The thing running your life from behind the curtain. The thing that you reach to when you're bored, scared, or lonely, instead of the one who actually made you, the one who is worthy of that worship. I know this is hard. I know there's going to be days when it feels like you can't do it or that you're trapped by it. I feel it too. But God doesn't make mistakes, and He is not surprised by what you are holding right now. He is just asking you to open your hand and give it to Him. Amen. Thank you all so much for staying with me to the end of this little mini series here. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. It helps out the channel a ton. Subscribe to the channel so you can see when new videos come out, and comment down below if you're struggling with any of these things. I would love to support you and chat with you because I am struggling too. We all are. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.